this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Sorry, I'm moving stuff around. I'm excited for today's chat. So, Ted Bundy, there was like this big docu-series that came out on Netflix about a month and a half ago. I've actually watched it like 3 or 4 times now. I watched it once by myself, I watched it with Blake, and I watched it with Kat and Chanel, all of us together. And it's really a good docu-series because it's one of those that you just kind of want to watch it and you don't want to stop. In fact, I think with Chanel and Kat, we literally watched all 4 episodes from front to back. Like, you can't walk away because it's so interesting how it is. So we'll kind of get into details about that. Next, cool, I'm so excited everybody's loving the YouTube live chats. We weren't sure how it was going, but it's been building up every week. So I'm excited to be back. It's good. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it. We also did post a giveaway video yesterday, like I said, on Fridays. Whew, so make sure you go on there and check it out. It's just doing short little pre-records for you guys on Fridays because this girl has been busy, right? Like, poor Kat. She helps me, like, she's my first-hand man, and she's like, Krystal, you have way too many to-do lists. I don't know how you do it. And she helps me a lot. So shout out to Kat for helping so much. In fact, Chanel has been training post-production too. So she'll be helping with post-production department. And I think she realized how in-depth it gets with, you know, editing's a lot of work. You know what I mean? It's telling a story. But Chanel has actually been helping with the pilot and the series to kind of develop the writing aspect of like beginning to end. She's also going to be writing like voiceovers for us, which is, you know, the historical stuff and putting it into a better context. So she's awesome. Her and I collaborating have been so fun with like creating what we made. So I'm going to bring the girls in if you guys are ready. Give me 2 seconds. I'll bring them in. What's up, guys? Here's Kat and Shanae. Remember, Shanae doesn't have the best, you know, internet connection. Don't worry, soon she will be moving to Vegas and we won't have to worry about that anymore, right, Chanel?
Yeah.
She gets quiet. She's like, uh-oh. So, I know, poor Chanel. We have to be careful, Kat, because me and Kat are really loud, and especially when we get together, we just have really loud personalities, and we need to like not overshadow Chanel so much because when she has something important to say, you know that you just better be quiet. You know what I mean? So,
Time stops.
It does. Like,
Chanel has something to say.
Chanel's gonna say something, she's like, you guys wait a second, and all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, there's something serious about to happen. By the way, you know, we've been reading comments from, well, Blake does our like YouTube management stuff. If you haven't seen some kind of behind the scenes footage videos, just kind of getting to know Kat and Chanel, we posted them first on Patreon, so our Patreon subs will always get those videos first. We have a ton more behind the scenes that are staying on Patreon only, so if you haven't subscribed, come over to our Patreon page because it's building. People are coming, like, I'm so happy, like, people love it. But most of the behind the scenes stuff is going to stay just to our Patreon subs. And that's because obviously they're helping us fund what we're doing, right? But everybody loved the Kat and Chanel behind the scenes videos. Kat, what did you think about yours that you got to do your little singing in?
Oh my gosh, I love it. It's always like a little insecure when, you know, having your music played because it's original and heartfelt. You never know how it's going to be taken, but even like small clips of it, it's cool.
And yeah,
cool.
Everything you heard Kat singing, that's her. She wrote it. She's in the, you know, producing it. She has a band, like legit. That's all hers. It's ownership. And yeah, so it was I was like, are we allowed to post this? And Kat's like, yeah, let's do a little sneak peek. Kat also produced, you guys, some of you may know this, she also produced the original Ghost Girl Diaries song that is for like the intro of Ghost Girl Diaries, the series. And we haven't released that publicly yet because it's in the process right now of getting copyrighted, but once you guys hear it,
so
oh my
exciting.
god, it's so good. And then
It's so good.
Chanel, what did you think of your behind the scenes? So, the reason we wanted to show Chanel is because often on the streams, Shanae can be kind of serious. She's the quiet one, right, out of all of us. And on set, this girl is like, cannot hold it in, okay? She is like her full self. She's like her authentic self, 100%. And I was like, we have to show some footage of Chanel, like, truly, like, bringing herself front. What did you think of your sneak peek Chanel video?
I actually really liked it. I mean, usually I don't like watching myself on things, but I enjoyed it.
And when you fell too, right? Oh my god, that was so funny.
Oh, yeah.
When you fell on set, oh my god, Jesus. That actually legit happened, by the way. We were filming in the snow, some really cool like B-roll footage, which came out amazing, and I can't show any more of that. But it was really cold. We were freezing. I know a lot of people had questions like, why were we jumping around in the video? There was a shot of Chanel doing squats. Because we were like freezing. We were literally freezing. I would be like, run in place, run it. So we'd all three just start like running in place, like stay warm. And Chanel, maybe got a little overly confident because she had kind of warmed up, and she took off ice skating down this little path. And she fell so fast. Like it was like all of a sudden she was down. I'm concerned, right? I'm trying to get to her, but I've got like so props in my arms, and Kat instead is like just dying laughing.
I like watched her fall, and I'm just staring at her laughing hysterically. Like I didn't even help her up. She was fine, it was fine, but oh my god.
Inappropriate laughter. Hilarious. But Chanel, for the record, you were okay, right?
I was, of course, yeah.
You got up like a champ, you threw up your rock star sign, like you're like, let's do this. Okay, so fun topic today. So I just feel like this is a really interesting topic for a few reasons. Also because it's Ted Bundy and he mainly murdered women, right? So I don't even know like where to begin this, because it's just an intense topic of him. What did you think of the series, first of all? Let's just talk about that first. The docuseries, the Ted Bundy tapes, okay? And I have some fun, like, facts about that I'm just going to drop really fast. So the Ted Bundy tapes were released January 24th of this year, okay? His execution date was January 24th of 1989. So 30 years to the date when the executive producer / director decided to drop this, which I find very poetic. I mean, obviously they were doing it for a reason, which is clearly a lot of planning ahead, right? Of like, they had to film this and they had to, get access to all of these tapes that they had. But, let's like back up first before we even watch this. What was your knowledge of Ted Bundy? Did you have any knowledge of Ted Bundy?
No, not as much actually as I thought. I thought I knew a lot, and then I watched the Netflix little miniseries they had there, and I knew not as much.
Right. What about you, Chanel?
As expected.
I actually didn't have a lot of information on him either. I knew the name, but I didn't know the details about him.
So I had told them, look, I watched this series. It's crazy good. And I had told them, like, this guy was this murderer, basically through the 80s, late 70s, and he may not have confessed to all of the murders that he did. It was mainly women, and I said, you need to watch the series. And you guys were kind of like, is it going to be like Making a Murderer again? Is it going to be like those other like crime shows? And I was like, no, like it's literally his voice that they have on tapes before he was executed. And I remember verbatim telling you guys, he sounds like a cult leader. There's something about his voice that literally draws you in, even as like a viewer. I don't know. I mean, what did you think about that? I felt like after I watched him, I realized how he lured his victims in. Is that how you guys kind of felt after watching it?
Oh God, yeah. It was really like almost soothing in a way. Very eerie feeling, but man.
Chanel, what did you think?
He has a like certain demeanor about himself that it's charming, you know, so you sort of think that he's the last person that would be able to do what he's done.
Well, and he's like clean cut, he's educated, he went to college, clearly, like, for a better term, has his shit together, right? I mean, from the outside, right? And, you know, another thing, like, let's just kind of tackle this topic really fast before we dive into, like, the whole Ted Bundy tapes. Zac Efron, I touched on this just slightly from last night's video, preloaded video that I put up. Zac Efron's kind of getting a lot of flack right now for playing Ted Bundy because people on social media are saying you should not be putting someone as handsome and good looking as Zac Efron in the position of, you know, playing Ted Bundy because you're, quote, trying to sexualize, you know, a serial killer. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, that's literally telling the honest truth about the situation. Mm-hmm. You know, everyone that I've spoken with, you know, that was dealing or seeing, you know, the Ted Bundy situation happen in their time, he was already that, you know? I mean, so I don't really see a problem with it.
Mm-hmm. Trying to pull up a picture of him right now. They had a couple of side-by-sides. Go ahead, Chanel. Do you want to say something?
I think I've been seeing a lot of that too, people saying that they're glamorizing serial killers by casting Zac Efron, but I mean, I think you said that you're pulling up a picture, like the comparison between Zac and Ted Bundy, they look so much alike, so I feel like that's just, Zac was a perfect cast for that role. And it's not like, you know, they're telling a story about a person that actually existed, as opposed to just making up characters, you know?
Well, and, you know, with that being said, unfortunately, how he got his, you know, victims was via sexualizing, right? I mean, sometimes it was through dating them, and then he would end up taking them home and killing them. He was fairly built, they claimed, in the 70s or 80s when he was doing this. He was, you know... physicality wise, that's how he drew these females in. Here's another one. You know, there's just such similarities, and you know, you say, quote, sexualized, but like, it's not like Ted Bundy was walking around without his shirt on and that's how he was like getting these people. He would pretend like he was injured, or he would be like walking on the beach and I lost my dog, and you know, he would emotionally appeal to women. And that's how he was this handsome, good-looking, clean-cut guy. I feel like society teaches us as females to always be afraid of someone in a hoodie, or someone that looks like possibly unclean, or someone like in the dark shadows. And he wasn't in the shadows. He came right out and was like, hey, I lost my dog. Can you help me? He had suits on a lot of the times, like very cleaned up. Clearly well educated, right? So he could, you know, speak fluent, very well English, and have, you know, proper terms of how to engage people. In my opinion, in college, he probably studied some sort of like, I don't know if it was maybe communication classes or something with body language, because it seems like in almost every incident he was able to turn something around from, like, if they said no, he could almost reconvince them, well, wait a second, this way or that way. There was a few people that did end up getting away. But regarding Zac Efron, I think it's a great fit, personally. A lot of people on social media have said something, like females, you know, with which you guys are in your 20s, I'm in my early 30s, so I feel like that's a good little combo of our both generations, right? Kat sits between Chanel and I as far as age. So people are saying, oh, well, I don't find Ted Bundy, like, attractive or handsome. Yeah, but this is 2019, guys. Like, this, we're talking about someone that was in the 70s and 80s. And, I mean, if you're looking at just the 80s, what was the trend there, right? It was, like, Iron Maiden and, like, rocker guys and, like, big hair, right? So then you have the opposite of someone coming in that's, like, very clean cut, not of the 80s, right? Or the typical 80s trends. And sure, it's going to be, like, different and possibly engaging to his victims, right? Okay, so that's just my 2 cents. I think it was cast wonderfully. I found out the budget for the one with Zac Efron was in the millions, I think. It was crazy. I couldn't believe Netflix ended up purchasing it for a ginormous amount of money, which I was really impressed with, because I think they're taking this as like a very serious feature, which I'm so glad to see Netflix going in this direction. Obviously, this is kind of what I predicted long ago, which was streaming was going to take over not only movie theaters, but also cable, right? Okay, so let's go back to Ted Bundy tapes. So, born November 24th of 1946. He was born under the name Theodore Robert Cowell, however you pronounce it, and obviously died of execution in Florida of January 24th, 1989. 30 years to the date that this documentary was released, which I find very interesting. So what do you think of the conversation that this guy interviewing? Basically, I don't want to spoil for everybody completely, which I don't have it verbatim anyway. But basically, this guy is trying to get Ted Bundy to admit before his execution that he, killed all of these women. And it's not working. And so what this interviewer does is he goes in with kind of like reverse psychology. And instead ends up getting Ted Bundy to spew, I don't want to say it's totally admitting, but the way he kind of approached it was, if I were a serial killer, this is what I would do. Or how would you help catch other serial killers? What would a serial killer think, type of thing. And then that like boosted Ted Bundy's sort of narcissism. And then Ted Bundy just started talking and he couldn't stop. In fact, the interviewer says, I think it's in the first or second episode, verbatim, Ted Bundy acted like no one else was in the room. He like held the tape recorder and like was talking to it as if it were only him and the tape recorder. So, what was your initial like thought on this, Kat? Just, even before we started hearing the tapes, you start seeing they're kind of doing a timeline of all the murders that are taking place.
Very creepy. I think the thing that got me the most was seeing the photos while they were explaining, what had happened and all the murders that took place. And his eyes were just like black in every photo taken. I mean, that's weird considering his eyes were like light blue. So it was almost kind of like evil. You think about it, maybe was it a possible possession or, not excusing him obviously of any behavior whatsoever, but that was just pure evil. He was pure evil. And you even got that vibe before he even started speaking.
Well, it's interesting because it would look to me, speaking of the dark eyes, right? While he was interviewing, he would smile and like put that, front on of like, you're right, the light blue eyes and I'm innocent. Why would a guy like me do something like that? But then as soon as he would sort of get interrogated or there were photos of him like in court where he would get angry, it was like his eyes changed. Especially for someone with light eyes, you shouldn't see such a demeanor change in their face in general. Chanel, you study dark stuff. You like dark stuff. And the day we watched this, you and I talked, and I said, do you think that, maybe it's himself and something else that are like a part of him? Because you even said there's part of him that's not human.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I feel like that's kind of the route a lot of people will sort of go down when you have a situation like a serial killer. People kind of, especially if you're religious, it's sort of like, oh, they have to be possessed or they have to be influenced by something that's not human. to be able to carry out what they're doing.
And most of the time with his victims, he would either bludgeon them to death or hit them to knock them out. And often he would admit to decapitation, right? Which I feel like, doesn't even give the victim even a chance at all. So he knew going into this that the way he was going to take them out was he had to be behind them. They couldn't see it coming, so that they couldn't fight back. There was a couple incidences where actual victims did get away totally by accident. There's even been some celebrities that have claimed they may have encountered Ted Bundy.
Wow.
In the 70s and 80s, that there were I want to say, this may not be right, but I feel like it may have been the singer Blondie that had said her tour bus or something had broken down, and she was trying to catch a ride, and it was in the rain, and she ended up getting in a Volkswagen similar to Ted Bundy's, and it did not have door handles on the inside, which would also explain how these victims would get stuck and couldn't get out of his car. And I can't remember, and it may not have been Blondie, so don't quote me on that, but I do remember reading this story. Either she jumped out the window or opened the window and then opened the handle, but she actually jumped out on like a highway while it was like driving fast, and ended up getting like road rash, and the car stopped and went to turn around, but other vehicles started coming, saw that she'd fallen out and was injured, and they stopped to help. So, these encounters where they were almost victims is like, that could happen to anybody at any time. You know what I mean?
Scary.
It's terrifying that
So scary.
somebody's this evil to be thinking and pre-planning. Even if he didn't kill these people, and he'd hit them, which some of them did get away, I'm looking at it as like a paranormal investigator, right?
Mm-hmm.
The energy that we've all encountered in different locations, the energy that it takes to like physically pick up like an iron pipe and like beat someone over the head with it, or even like the physical energy that it takes that we've encountered evil to like decapitate someone is just, I'll never know that feeling personally, because I've encountered dark things, but it's like, and then for him to do it over and over with all of these victims, and they don't even know if these are all of his victims that are like quote listed. By the time he was executed, he never really openly admitted if there was more or wasn't more, basically. So I'm getting the chills talking about it. Like, my stomach gets upset. Does it for you guys?
Yeah, I'm not feeling too well.
I think it's like at the victims. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy too, because I guess it was known that he decapitated at least 12 victims and kept their heads in his apartment for a while.
Yeah.
Just sick mofo. He was sick little mofo.
Well, and I don't want to bring this up because it's a horrible visual. He was never really, he was never blamed for like quote cannibalism, but let's just be honest. If you have, the power within you to chop up a body, why wouldn't you attempt to try something, like that's disturbing? And by the way, so here's a couple of things that he had been like accused of. He was a serial killer, a kidnapper, a rapist, a burglar, and he was accused of necrophilia, which is sleeping with a dead body, right? He often would sleep with the dead bodies after he would kill them, which is just strange. But none of my business. I guess there's something for everybody out there. That's a sick joke, isn't it?
Wow.
No. Well, it's like, who even thinks of something like that? But clearly that was why he had to obtain the dead bodies, in my opinion. But there was a point in the docuseries that he had said, that it started off like with porn, and he was watching like BDSM stuff, and then it eventually just like wasn't enough for him, and he needed to like physically feel the violence of murdering as like some sort of like sexual arousal type of thing. Just where do you guys want to go with this conversation? Because I feel like there's so many outlets. Chanel, do you want to start with one outlet? I don't even know where to go because I feel like there's so much to talk about.
Someone said in chat, is a person born evil or is evil behavior learned?
I think it could be
I think
both.
that's really good. I think it could be both. I know I've read some things online that some people think that Ted Bundy's real father might have actually been his own grandfather,
I've read that
who
too.
was abusive to his mother. So, it just makes you wonder
Oh,
if there
wow.
was already some messed up things happening in the house, to make somebody else mentally ill like that.
Well, if you look at the timeline
Yeah.
too, there was something else I've read online, which you never know what's accurate or not out there. But this was somebody that had dug into his genealogy or something. Apparently, Ted Bundy, when he started the acts of violence, he was a child. He would like harm animals, which I get volatilely sick about because I think it's just disgusting. By the way, they just passed some like federal law that now if you do animal abuse in the United States, it's a felony. Hallelujah, baby Jesus. Because they deserve it, I think. But anyway, I got to like an age of 18 and found his birth certificate. And his birth certificate, or maybe it was even 15, found out that he did not have a father listed on his birth certificate. And basically started accusing his mom of like being a whore. And that's when all of this sort of started. And then they think maybe he had some sort of like anger towards females.
Yeah, vendetta.
From like not knowing who his father was. He died still not knowing who his legal father was, by the way. So Chanel, what do you think about that? I mean, do you think that people can be born evil, or do you think that they obtain it, or both?
I think both. I think because when you're a child and you're going through situations like not knowing like a family member or a parent in this case, believe it or not, does affect the child's mind in some way. And when you grow up, that carries on into your adult life. But I also think that as far as like mentally unstable goes, like of course he probably was, I think there is actually a difference in your brain. Like on a brain scan, you can actually see the difference in like a normal brain versus a sociopath.
Yeah, I've seen those scans. I have seen those. Whoops, she's cutting out. There we go. You cut out. What was your last sentence? Re-say that. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying about the brain scans.
I have seen
Did you
those.
hear that?
Yeah, I have seen those. It's funny because like I have friends that are like from like Chanel in her early 20s all the way up to like older parents. And I've literally heard people say, like, yep, I had 4 kids. One ended up as a bad egg. Don't know what happened. I mean, I don't know how you can blame that because I feel like parenting is obviously, like, a big, important thing. But if you do look back at Ted Bundy's life and even, like, his siblings, he did not have a bad, in my opinion, like, growing up.
No.
It wasn't just painting a picture of, oh, I was normal, and then look what happened to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he fooled a lot of people, and even, the congregation he was with, he went to church every Sunday. And I don't know. I just really find something wrong with that, going to church and sitting there murdering people. I find that really wrong.
That's an understatement.
It's really, really wrong.
And hiding bodies and like
there was something obviously not working right.
Right. Well, even looking at him before I had like heard the tapes, because I think that it really starts to dig deep into the tapes in like episode 3 and 4 of the Ted Bundy tapes. You just look at him and you feel like he's not human. And I don't mean that as in he's like an alien or even like necessarily a demon. I just feel like he's not. Maybe that means he's not there mentally. I don't know. I found it so strange how he could literally shut on and off like different personalities. You see even in the tapes of like quote Ted Bundy tapes, you hear him and you can clearly hear the serial killer speaking, right? Which is this like he's method as far as like I know how I'm going to do it. why I'm going to do it, when I'm going to do it, this is how you do it. But then you hear, like, the innocent Ted Bundys, like, claiming, oh, I grew up really normal. I had, you know, I went to college and I was going to be a lawyer and da-da-da. So I personally could distinctly see two completely separate personalities. And I found it almost creepy how he could turn each one literally on or off. One example is, you remember the court scene? I think it was in like the second episode or the third episode where the DA comes out to charge him and they decide instead of doing it in the courtroom, they did it publicly in front of all of the cameras. And I feel like you can literally see his dual personalities fighting with each other. Like, part of him wants to react and the other part's like, no, you just have to, like, you know, remain calm.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And honestly, I'm going to use this reference because I'm a Lord of the Rings nerd. He literally reminds me of Gollum and Smeagol, you know, like the evil character that, you know, wanted the ring or is obsessed with the ring. It's almost like, in my opinion, Ted knew what he was doing was very, very, very wrong. Very bad, very, very wrong. And it was so wrong that almost his conscience was trying to come through and try to rationalize it. And it made it worse. It was like it almost like drove him more guilty to where he just kept going. And that's just so bizarre to me.
Well, and let's get real here. You know, he got away with it for a long time, right? Like, literally all the way from, like, Washington State down to Colorado, which I want to talk about that because I'm from Colorado. I want to talk about that a little bit. But then he ends up in Florida. He escapes jail again. This is when he makes it to, like, the panhandle of Florida and then ends up murdering the household of sorority girls. And then he still gets caught. But, I mean, I feel like at that point, he's like, I've been to jail, and now we're getting messy. His method thinking is not there anymore. He has totally thrown it out the door. He's just desperate for the next kill. And he literally goes into this sorority and just, like, slaughters everybody. Which, by the way, I think one of the girls survived, didn't she? And she's, like, severely, like, debilitated, handicapped from surviving it. I think she's not even speaking, right? Like, she can't even talk. She's kind of, I know. Can you imagine just being stuck in your body, like, after that trauma? Woo!
It's having to replay that all over and over again.
Jesus save you, girl, because my Lord.
Kidding.
I mean, okay, you know, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Chanel, I'm going to let you pick it, or Kat.
I actually had a quick thing to go back to the film about Ted Bundy. Apparently, it's going to be a fall release on Netflix.
This is Zac Efron, the Zac Efron.
Yes, Zac Efron's. And the thing that I found interesting was that they said the film is based on true events. So it makes you wonder, is it not the actual timeline? Or, you know, what's going on? Or what's going on with that?
Right.
I find that a little weird. So that was just my little 2 cents about
You know
that.
what I find weird, which I think Chanel and I talked about this, is, like, I know this is going to sound like weird profiling because society teaches us to do that, right? But I feel like if you're going to be a big, badass serial killer, right? Clearly he is, or for his time. Why the hell are you driving a Volkswagen Beetle?
I don't know. That's a really good question, though. That is a dang good question.
I'm just saying, like, you know, Chanel, what do you think about that? Like,
I so
laugh about that. But
I mean, because it's a
like,
little tiny car, right? Like, nothing against Volkswagens. It's just I'm saying, you're this really, like, suave, like, serial killer.
it's so strange to me.
I was just thinking, when I was younger, that's like the exact car that I wanted.
Of course it was, Chanel. Here's my shocked face, Chanel. Look at
Oh my god.
Here's my shocked face. No, but even
That
like
is
for
hilarious.
Cat.
Dead. I'm dead.
No, but seriously, like, if he's even like taking girls out on dates or like murdering them or whatever, you know, if he's as suave as he was, where's like your cool Cadillac or something? Or, you know, especially for like the 70s and 80s, like the Impala was big, right? Like, where's that? Like, where the hell did you end up with a damn like little Volkswagen Beetle? And those are small on the inside, especially the older ones. So it's like, how, no wonder these girls got away. Or maybe he wanted to keep it small. I guess that's kind of a serial killer thought, is like keeping them in control, right? Like while you're in the vehicle. So
he was very meticulous, though. Like, he was really smart when it came to trying to cover his tracks, from his looks, being Mr. Suave in the courtroom and being his own lawyer, to, maybe having a small car, so that won't really be it would be a suspect in a murder, because they wouldn't also think that you would be using a small car to commit murders, or, it's weird to me.
Speaking of that car, by the way, it is still, like, available. It is currently in a museum in Washington, D.C. I believe there's, it might be the Smithsonian, or else it's like a murder museum in D.C. I can't remember. Because, of course, my first thought was, I wonder if Zach's going to try to get that for the museum, But I doubt that that's going to ever be let go at this point, unless somebody wants to really hork out a lot of money. Which, by the way, since most of the crimes took place in that vehicle, can you imagine how freaking haunted that car is with the energy attached to it? Like, oof. I mean, he probably doesn't even want to let go of his car, even in death, because that was where he committed his acts while he was here, I'd probably throw up if I even went near that car.
Yeah, the energy would not be good.
One of his quotes, I just want to throw this in, because I have a list of Ted Bundy quotes that are just, like, terrifying. He says, quote, "Society wants to believe it can identify evil people or bad or harmful people, but it's not practical. There are no stereotypes." Ooh. End quote. That's creepy. Which clearly we were talking about that, right? Society does teach us to not be afraid of certain people, and it sucks. It shouldn't be like that. But it's creepy. So, I mean, he was really creepy. He also said some weird quote. I don't have it verbatim, on my notes, but at the very end of the 4 episodes on Netflix, he says something so eerie. And it was something in relation to, they don't realize that people, could be their next door neighbor, that they're actually like a demon, or like, there's a demonic thing inside of them. So that makes you, like, stop as a paranormal investigator and be like, is that him admitting he had an attachment or possessed or whatever? Because clearly it would take a certain person to commit these horrific crimes, right?
Right.
I mean, like I said, the physical energy it would take to decapitate people over and over again is gut-wrenching to me. It makes me want to throw up, personally.
It's just wrong.
Okay, so what else we chat? Let's go in another direction. Anybody have another direction? I mean, I do. I'm just letting us talk. Everybody loves it when we're kind of chatting about topics.
Let me look.
I have a ton of notes, too. Why don't we chat about him escaping jail?
Oh, God.
The first time. So, Chanel, were you shocked that someone could escape jail? Of course, once again, we're going back to somebody that clearly thought he had it figured out. Slightly did have it figured out, obviously, if he could just walk out of, Grand Junction, or not Grand Junction. He was in Glenwood Springs, which is in Colorado. He jumped out of the window and injured his ankle. How did you think that, did you think that was possible, Chanel, or, like, did you think it was ridiculous?
Did I think it was possible for him to escape?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, if you're determined enough, I think definitely it would be possible. And since he is who he is, I think him escaping is not very surprising, at least not to me.
You would think, though, if you're being held on multiple murder charges, and especially to the level that he was doing, that someone would be watching. You know what I'm saying? Or something. Of course, now here comes my chat, okay? Because Colorado girl, okay? Let's just have a chat, all right? I'm from Colorado, okay? Oh, here comes my snowboarder accent, bro, okay? So I grew up in Colorado my whole life, right? Love it. Glenwood Springs, okay? What? All right, I've been there. Glenwood Springs, to locals, is known for, there's some really cool trails up there. There's this really beautiful crystal clear lake that's up there that people used to go hiking into. It's like a 3-mile trek in. Also, Glenwood Springs it's a small town, right? It's like kind of off the highway, But it used to be like a mining town. It's actually really haunted. I've investigated up there a few times. It's probably like a 2 to 3 hour drive from Denver, which I was from Denver, 303. Anybody listening? It has hot springs. You guys know what hot springs are, right? So it attracts people from literally all over the world to go to these hot springs, which I've gone in them, and they're great. It's a wonderful like little thing, but why would they put him in a jail in Glenwood Springs, even in 70s and 80s, is so mind-boggling to me because it is so small. I mean, the town itself, like literally you go to like downtown Glenwood Springs and it's literally like a block, like a street of like shops. That's how small it is. You know what I mean? Like they have apartments and houses. There's another really big haunted hotel that's there too. But I honestly, even like before I was watching the Ted Bundy tapes, I didn't realize he had gone to jail in Colorado. My mom had mentioned it. Obviously she'd been she was living in Colorado at the time when that happened, and she knew, like, she said there was like news stations talking about Ted Bundy, that he had escaped. There was this like big fear thing, like don't if you're a woman, don't go out at night, be careful who you talk to, because I think he escaped for like 6 days at that point or something, and he ended up getting lost in the mountains of Aspen, which, let me tell you, that's somewhere you don't want to get lost in, because it's literally a snowboarding, skiing mountain town. Like, he was probably walking into the abyss of like snow. And apparently he had gotten so cold he ended up stumbling upon a cabin, and like broke in this cabin, like took a rifle or a gun and like hid out in there without freezing to death. I'm shocked he made it alive, to be honest, because I have snowboarded in Colorado. I grew up in Colorado, and I'm like, if you get lost in those mountains, like, you're probably not going to make it out. So for him being such like a non-human evil demon, in my opinion, I don't know why, like, the divine God, whatever you want to call it, just kept being on his side. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, for you to trek through the mountains for 6 days or whatever and survive where I'm from is just like, wow, like some divine was like giving you another chance, and clearly he blew it again. So
didn't he just like waltz into town after too? And that's how he was caught?
Yep, he stole a car. He ended up stealing a vehicle from somebody. He held him up at gunpoint. He had found a gun in this cabin and then stole the car. And they were actually doing like checkpoints because they were looking for Ted Bundy. And that's how he ended up getting busted, again. So,
wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think what got me out of everything was the fact that judge was like on his side and said that he was sorry this was happening to Ted.
He was like,
that
you
really
have potential as
me.
a lawyer. You should have gone to school as a lawyer. You have potential as an attorney, and you threw your life away, and I'm sorry you did. And we're just like, once again, he is still able to like use his energy to like coerce people of power, which in this case it's a judge, right?
Ridiculous. And the electric chair, because he got death penalty, the electric chair he was in was called Old Sparky, and it took him
Old Sparky. That's
I know
so
I
effed
know.
up. I don't even know.
Isn't that weird?
Who the F named that? Like,
I don't know, but
Chanel
I'm just
is
saying,
like...
Old Sparky is the name. And in your final day, you're offered like any meal that you want, apparently, and he refused his last meal, so they gave him whatever. He didn't eat it all, and by the time he prayed before he got into the electric chair, and it took him 2 minutes to die in the electric chair, and apparently it looked like he wasn't even in any pain.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Like, his eyes got wide, but that was it.
But normally some people will scream, they'll make noises. He didn't.
Mm-hmm.
He was just
he didn't.
silent.
And I actually found a newspaper article that was front page of his literally dead body on the front page of the newspaper, and people were like, thank God.
People were cheering, right? So in Florida,
there were people signs outside. Yep.
There was like a huge rally the day he was executed. People were so excited. They were happy. Like one less monster basically off the face of the earth. And oh my God, I don't even know. The whole thing is just, Mr. Sparky. So they don't use that chair anymore. Obviously,
Sparky.
it's been like retired. Clearly, they don't do
Yep.
electric chair anymore, right? I think it's all injection.
Yep.
I just have no words, because it's like,
There are no words.
well, and for him to escape so many times and then just keep getting out and then keep doing horrific murders, it's like, I feel like anyone else would have tried to like go to a different country and just disappear and like live their life out. You know what I mean? But he could
Right.
not control that urge to just
Yeah.
continue.
I mean, and even in the middle of all of it, I think it was when he was arrested for kidnapping a woman, he was given from 1 year to only 15-year sentence. Like, what is that? I feel like life would have probably been better, or, I guess now he died, but I mean,
I studied
I just-
I know this is a little off topic, but I studied the death penalty. I've studied it like in
Really?
college, yeah. And they don't a lot of people like, oh, death penalty's better because then you don't have to pay taxes, to pay for their food for the rest of their life. But what people don't realize is that the one injection, obviously he didn't go by injection, but one injection for the death penalty is literally like millions of dollars. So it's actually a lot less expensive to house someone tax-wise, if that's the argument, because it's not near as much as it is. I think that's also probably why they're so behind on the death penalty and like carrying out executions, is because that stupid little shot is so expensive. And then they have that sometimes it's failed. You've heard it failed before. And people with, I guess if it's a murderer, I don't know, do you feel bad for him? I feel like that's like God's decision or higher up. I'm not here to play God and make those decisions, I feel like people meet their maker eventually.
Yep.
But and I'm not the maker, clearly, I'm not the maker. But let's, I will be the judge and the maker of the production behind this, okay? And let's just chat about that for a second. That the director's name is Joe Berlinger, Berlinger. He was also an executive producer on it. They had like 3 or 4 EPs. I thought he did great. Congrats to you, Joe. I think you're an amazing director, EP. I think you did a beautiful job, especially for like a docu-series. As far as filmed wise, how do you guys think it went as far as just the production aspect? Shanae?
Oh, God, it was amazing.
Oh, it was great.
Amazing.
Yeah. It was shot so well.
It was creepy.
And
I felt like I was there with the witnesses. Did you guys feel like that?
Yes.
They really, sorry.
No, you're fine. You cut out. Say it
They
again.
really like. I'm sorry. It's windy and raining.
It's okay.
But I think they really evoked the tone that they were going for with it. So
It was. Hearing his voice on replay on the tapes was just like,
Yeah.
it was very strange to me. He had a lot of really weird quotes. You did a little bit more research on him though, Kat. Was there anything else you wanted to add in regarding research on him?
Let me look. What's really creepy is that he was born actually in Burlington, Vermont, which is like 2-3 hours from me.
That's true. I forgot about
Which
that.
is weird, and I'm good going there now. It's fine.
I was doing research though not too long ago. Do you remember? I was researching like serial killers just for like haunted locations. And one of the safest places in the United States to live is freaking New Hampshire. So if you want to be safe,
Hey!
go live by Cat in the middle of nowhere. Literally.
I don't know why, because it's the middle of nowhere. I feel like that would not be safe.
Maybe that's why people don't go there, is because there's not a large population for,
Nobody knows where New Hampshire's at. I get that question all the time. Where is that?
Where is
Boston. Boston. It's near Boston,
Just
okay?
Boston.
I'm looking at my notes here on my computer.
Yeah, I'm looking up more quotes. He says, one of his quotes is, quote, "I don't feel guilty for anything. I feel sorry for people." Whoops, I just exited out of it. That just ruined the vibe, didn't it? "I feel sorry for people who feel guilt," is what he said, end quote.
Wow.
So clearly that means he had no guilt for the things he did.
So another note I saw is that his mother was unwed, and Ted was taunted as a bastard as a child. And for a time, he actually believed his mother was his older sister.
I read that too. I did read
Which
that.
is a little weird. That's a little weird. But
Could have messed him up too. I mean,
no kidding.
Not that that's an excuse for being a serial killer by any means.
Oh no, not at all.
I'm just
not
saying, for all the court costs that he had for defending himself, therapy would have been a lot cheaper. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying? Like, therapy, boo. Try it. Just try it.
Good God.
Let's see. I know I'm reading all these quotes too. It's just like.
Yeah, in order to lure his victims, he faked an injury and impersonated someone well known. That was what he would do.
Quote, we serial killers are your sons. We are your husbands. We are everywhere, and we will be more of your, and there will be more of your children dead tomorrow. End quote.
That is terrifying.
Oh.
I mean, like, clearly, though, once again, like I said, for him to go to jail, escape jail, get out, obviously this happened a few times. He has, like, he's not thinking, like, oh, I'd have to go back to jail if I get caught, and then if I do something else and get caught. So I think he was just over that like, desire to, like, for bloodshed was more than facing the consequences. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't control himself.
Right.
He also said, quote, what's one less person on the face of this earth, comma, anyways, end quote.
That's just...
I am, this is an interesting one, quote, I am the most cold-hearted son of a bitch you will ever meet, end quote.
Wow. Really?
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel like they didn't portray that in the...
And often,
tapes.
apparently, like, the few victims that obviously, unfortunately, suffered from, they survived, often would hear him say, before they were, like, released completely or before they got away, they would hear him often say, where do you think you're going?
Oh. No.
Away from you, boo.
I'm going out the door.
I'm gonna
out the
you
door.
into next week, boo. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I know, like, God.
Good Lord.
It's so terrible. But, unfortunately,
Wow.
like I said, his victims, even, like, in their sleep, I feel like that's kind of a coward way to do it. Right? Like, if you're gonna be a serial killer, like, he doesn't have a lot to brag about, considering he would do it when their backs were turned or when they were asleep. I mean, that's like an easy way out, I guess. Like, anybody could be a serial killer that way. Like, if you had no, emotion for or regard for human life. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's just disgraceful. It's really
It's
sad.
just wrong.
Yeah, it is.
I feel bad for the victims, obviously. Yeah. I mean, wow.
It is.
Let me look. I'm just checking to see if I have anything else.
Yeah, I'm just reading through my all these quotes here. He's just a dark person. And honestly, I don't think he cared.
No.
I think he wanted people to know that he was a dark person,
There was no empathy whatsoever.
Chanel, didn't you and I kind of chat briefly, thinking that maybe he was, like, into, like, dark, like, rituals or dark something? Didn't we, like, have that theory we were discussing? There was something in one of the episodes, and you and I were like, there was something that was said, or he said, or was triggered, and you and I were like, that seems like he was practicing something dark. You know what I mean?
I remember what it was, though, that he had...
There was something, I'm trying to remember if it was something revolving around, like, satanic, like, symbols or ritual or something weird. And even obviously the end when he admits that demonic things exist within people, or whatever that means.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes. Yeah, because that was the very end of the series, right? Where that's the ending, that was the ending of the thing. I don't remember what the exact quote was, but I don't really think you say that just to say it, like, for shock factor,
Well, yeah, who would brag about either being a demon or allowing a demon to live in them? Like, I feel like nobody goes around being like, oh, hey, you know what? I'm sharing this vessel with somebody else. You want to get to know him? It's Satan himself. Like, nobody brags about that. There was some... Oh, here's the other thing I wanted to ask you guys about, theory-wise. Okay, so obviously a majority of the, like, abductions, like, killings, whatever, took place near or around the vehicle. So we know that vehicle exists. It's in a museum tucked away, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The next question is, he went and kind of did this mass, like, brigade of, like, killing and slaughtering girls in this sorority house in Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have been trying to research it, and I know you guys have too. Does the actual house still stand? Clearly there is a sorority that is still there, okay? But we can't find information on, was that house demolished and rebuilt? Is it the same house? I did research the exact sorority from, like, the case files of Ted Bundy, right? So if that house exists, do we think it's haunted?
Oh God, yeah. I think I read something that it was demolished. But if anything, I would definitely think energy still resides there from how traumatic that event was.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's so weird. I just had an EVP come through on my mic that sounded like said yeah.
Cute.
And neither of you were, like, Kat, you were talking and Chanel was not moving her mouth, so that's weird. If anybody heard that, that's all I'm saying, or else it was a DVP and I'm just hearing things.
That's
It was a female
weird.
voice, by the way. It was like a female that was like, yeah, like that.
I wonder if Salem's back.
Oh, your attachment? Kat has an attachment, and she's comfortable with it. That's nobody's business. Everybody just mind your own business, okay?
Fine. We'll get to that later.
Well, wait a second. Chanel also had some attachments. Let's just be real here, Chanel.
That's true.
Shanae. Okay.
Yeah.
Chanel just smiles. Just smiles.
She's like, yeah, it's true.
Oh man.
So, yeah, I would assume that even if the house was demolished of the sorority, whatever is rebuilt there, even if it's the same sorority that's rebuilt in the land, clearly energy exists, right? Like, and in my opinion, I would assume if you were to go investigate, sure, you might get contact with victims or even him himself, but I think you would get more residual energy versus intelligent. Meaning, you know, those crimes that took place is like a permanent stain in the atmosphere. It's like that tape recorder we talk about that just replays and replays. And especially for him just to go room to room and doing these massacres. And this was also the location, right, where the girl survived. Like, I think he drugged one of the girls to the basement. Her family has kept her identity protected after it happened. But apparently, like, she doesn't communicate. I don't even think she could. I think he, like, severed her spinal cord or something really major where she doesn't even walk. And he hit her over the head, and so she had brain damage and just, girl, oh Lord, have mercy. I mean, it's so bad. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But yeah, we were looking for that location specifically, and I'd reached out to my followers last night. Anybody that's, like, in Florida, if you have any information on it, I'm just curious about it to know if it still exists. Another random fun fact is Zach personally just purchased Ted Bundy's glasses, right? For the museum. Was it like $10,000 or something? Do you remember how much it was?
Hefty price, yeah.
It was
came
big.
at a hefty price.
So Ted Bundy wore glasses.
Yeah.
This is supposedly a pair of his glasses. Hopefully it's confirmed to be legitimate. I do believe he's in the process of building a Ted Bundy room in the museum, which is, like, to me, like, I didn't like the Kansas City Killer's room, though. That's a new room that he has in there. And you guys went with us. We were all together, weren't we? We were together when we saw that.
Yes, yeah.
And
on Twitter.
Chanel left me, and something closed the door and left me in the room by myself of the Kansas City Killer. And I couldn't get out.
I remember.
And by the time I came out, Kat and Chanel were gone. And I was by myself in a murderer's room. And it was so weird.
That was crazy.
I went to close the door of that room, and something, like, grabbed the door back, like it was trying to swing it back open. And I, he has some actors that are in there involved. I assumed someone had gone through one of his secret tunnels into that room and was, like, grabbing the door. And I went to check in there, and there was nothing. And I was like, okay, All right, I see you, boo. Okay.
That happened to Chanel too in the Demon House room.
Yeah. Chanel liked the Demon House room, which scares me to death. But then again,
I'll never forget that
let
experience.
me see my shocked face. Ready? Chanel.
Oh man.
Once again, there's a difference between liking dark stuff and being demonic, right? There's a big difference. Chanel's not demonic. She just likes dark stuff, and that's okay. It's just her personality. It's
learning about it.
You like learning about it.
So
partaking in it.
But you are attracted to it. We have to admit that. She gets quiet. She's like, okay.
She does. She gets quiet.
Well,
I found a possession quote from Ted.
Okay.
He said, "The ultimate possession was, in fact, the taking of the life, and then the physical possession of the remains."
So that's like a serial killer thing, right? Is to like keep a piece of that person. Like often serial
so
like
messed
one
up.
thing that happens like that you see religiously with serial killers is if they're murdering women, they like to keep their underwear, right? They keep the pair of panties or whatever, and then they end up finding like a stash of panties as like trophies, right? And in Ted Bundy's case, it was heads of all things. Like, how do you store a head? First, not that I really don't want to know, to be honest. I don't need details on that. But like, you know, is it refrigerated? Is it just the skull? Once again, do I really need to know? Not really, to be honest. Kat's face just went like weird digital when I'm talking about that. Did you see that?
So I'm not I'm not.
Ooh, we're talking
having
about
a moment right now.
decapitations and Kat's face goes digital.
I'm having a moment because my face was doing like weird things in the camera when I was talking earlier, but I just heard what almost sounded like a ha-ha.
Ew.
In this ear.
Was it male or female?
And then and I didn't say it. Yeah, it was male. And I didn't say anything, but then when you just said Kat's face, I was like, okay.
I love our live streams. You never know what's going to happen on our live streams. I feel like there's always something paranormal happening. Might I just say,
literally,
my house is saged and sealed. Let me just say that, okay? Like, nothing's getting in here. So, I mean, it still might, but just saying. Satan's alive and well.
So, anyway.
Yeah, how do you pick up from there? So, Kat's face looked like it was morphed, and it looked kind of like you had been mutilated. I'm just going to be honest. I know that sounds...
That's great. You know what? I already dealt with Ed Gein in here 2 months ago. I don't need nobody else. Get out.
That was weird. The screen, like... Did you see the screen? It, like, disappeared for a minute. That was weird. What's going on?
Really?
Literally.
But I think I'm gonna have to sage. Like, why? God.
And just, you know, saging's not a quick process. Let's just admit.
It's not. And I'm running out of it.
Oh my.
So I need to go get more. Anyway.
You know.
Anyway.
Kat, I can't wait till you're not in an apartment building anymore. Poor Kat. Because when you're in an apartment, it's hard. Yeah.
There's only so much you can do, you know, in an apartment. Mm-hmm. I can sage until the cows come home, but I can't seal it because
Girl, don't be
I'm on the
cow
second floor.
Home. My God, you don't need that on top of everything else. Do not bring cow spirits in, okay?
Oh my gosh.
So
funny.
What else? Does anybody want to add anything regarding Ted Bundy? You know, another interesting weird thing that we found out from the Ted Bundy tapes was clearly he was a narcissist, right? And with the narcissism, they couldn't get him to actually, like, openly admit that what he did, but he was able to talk about it from, like, a second-person sort of stance, right? Like, if I were a serial killer, I would do this. You know, what do you think about that? Do you think that's him? Do you think that's, like, the, quote, demon talking about himself? Or do you think it was him?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it comes with a double personality. You know, he's trying to, what's that word? So he knows he did something wrong, but he's trying to, like, almost, I don't want to say validate it, but I can't think of the word.
What were you saying?
I can't think of the word.
To justify it, you mean?
Yes, justify, yes. You know, by talking about what he would do. and that's just weird.
Yeah.
And he did step in to help with another serial killer, right? There was somebody else they were trying to catch. Who was it?
Oh, was it Manson?
No, it wasn't Well, I think there was a couple at the time, which Manson was like of the 80s, right? 70s and 80s.
I don't
There was
know.
somebody else though. I didn't write it down because I thought I could remember it clearly. That didn't work. But yeah, he was basically saying like, "Oh, I want to help you catch this person." Who Jeffrey was it Dahmer? No.
Oh, I think it might have been
It
actually.
was?
I think it might have
Anyway,
been.
what had happened was Ted didn't like that this other serial killer was getting more like media attention and publicity than him. So he thought his way of getting his name and face back in the media was saying, "Oh, I've like sided with police to help them catch this person and do this." It's that narcissism again, right? Which it is interesting though, because like you even said, towards the end of his days before his execution took place, he was praying. Literally, they said that he was like memorizing Bible verses. He was reading from the Bible. Guards had even claimed he may have been like a changed man towards the end, which I doubt, honestly, if he's escaping jail constantly, like to keep continuing like the murders. But yeah, like he was praying and then he died and people were happy about it. My mom said that she remembered, she was like, in her 20s, 30s at that time. And she said she remembers them, being relieved. Like, she was just relieved that he was gone and that was it. And it was like, oh, thank God, we don't have to deal with this anymore. I was actually 4 years old or 3 years old when he was executed in 89, but clearly I don't remember a thing about that. What else? Anything else you guys want to add regarding Ted Bundy?
I mean, that's all of my notes. That's all I have on mine, unless you guys have more.
Do you think like locations where he murdered are haunted even with residual energy?
Oh, absolutely. Even the woods, the remains they found in the woods, I think that even there would be haunted.
What do you think about the Volkswagen, Shanae?
Do I think it's haunted, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sure. I mean, if it's not, like intelligently haunted, definitely residual.
Yeah, I agree too. I agree. I don't know. I feel like it would make me sick to be around something like that.
Yeah.
Like I had made a couple of plans to do trips to like the Villisca Axe Murder House. It's in Iowa. And like, I don't know how I would do in super, super dark places like that. It's hard because it's like on one side, do you think you're more apt to connect with the killer or do you think you're more apt to connect with the victims? What do you guys think?
I feel like it would be a mix. Honestly, if Ted was sitting there murdering women, I feel like as women, we would also be in communication with him as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think absolutely, which is scary.
I feel like it kind of goes both ways as well with the women that he did murder. They could come through as like a kind of help me sort of thing.
Well, that's why you have to be so careful when you're going into locations to investigate, because a lot of the times investigators want to like provoke, right? So your first idea would be to provoke Ted Bundy. But what if, you have to wait till you get evidence. Like, what if Ted Bundy's not even there? What if you don't connect with him? What if it's the females coming through and like, I feel like, they've already lived enough hell. They don't need to be reliving being provoked or even being around that like energy again. You know what I mean?
It's true.
So I don't know. It's just, it's dark. He's dark. Amy. So Amy she does like some of our PA stuff. So some of like, she assists us with different stuff and projects. And Amy is from UK. Some of you guys will remember Amy from Twitch or Ouija Bop. She's actually Ouija Boop, but we call her Ouija Bop. Just because we like to. She is in the UK, and so Amy, we love Amy. She's actually helping with the series, like behind the scenes. Amy wanted to come on and help with this stream because she is extremely well versed in serial killers. Like, that's her thing. And we're hoping down the road we're going to get Amy involved in some streams. I would love for her to be involved directly with the series. But we're going to have to work on figuring out how to get her a work visa from the UK to the United States. But we're going to work on it. We're going to do it. But Amy is so different even than all of us. I guess Amy's a little dark too, kind of like Chanel, isn't she, with her serial killer stuff. She likes that dark, creepy stuff.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, Kat, where I don't know, I feel like I don't attract the dark, but I can't say that because I will say Kat definitely does not attract the dark, okay? So, like, Kat is definitely, like, the ultimate, like, good on the squad here, right? I feel like I'm like the neutral one, right? Like, I could go either way, and then Shanae is definitely the dark side because
Dark.
when I go with Kat, we don't get dark stuff. When I go with Chanel, Jesus Lord, take the wheel.
God, I love it.
And then Chanel scares me worse than, like, I can deal with the ghosts, okay? It's humans that scare me, okay? Like, don't come up behind me and grab me. I will scream bloody murder. Okay?
He's out. I was out.
Kat, we need you. Okay, what? Nothing? Okay, bye. I'm just gonna go away.
Booked it. Like, nope.
Yeah, I guess we could talk about production a little bit, huh, for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Just to update everybody what's going on. Well, I can't go into detail, of course, and nor will I, because clearly people are watching, right? That want my details, right? I roll. I've purged that. Don't worry, I purged it. It's gone. It's purged. Chanel is training with post-production right now. She does like camera operator stuff, but she's also going to be assisting with editing, obviously, and writing. So how's that going, Shanae? Do you like it?
Pretty good. Yes, it's going great.
Important, right? I mean, it's a big part.
Yeah.
That's it. Just quiet. She's like, I can't say too much because my boss is streaming with me right now, and I could get yelled at.
I can't reveal anything about the process, but no, I'm almost done with the editing training. It's going well, and then the writing. Obviously, writing is one of the things that I love, so that's really cool to be a part of. And camera work, it's great.
Yeah, you did really great on your camera stuff. I was impressed. I was scared because I'd hired Chanel, I'd talked her up, trained her, and then it's like all that matters is when you're in the field and you're like, I don't get to see like, the footage till I'm home. And then I was like, oh, I'm scared. Girl, I'm scared. And I was like, good job. You did it good. She did really awesome. Kat, how's it being a producer? Is that fun or what?
It's awesome.
Really?
It's
I
crazy.
Thought you'd be like, yeah, right, whatever.
I know. Well, I mean, it's crazy because it's only been 9 months since I've been signed on with Ghost Girl Media and Ghost Girl Diaries, and it's been an amazing journey. You learn the things that you're good with, the things you're not good with, and it's been an amazing timeline of events. And it's great to have Krystal as an amazing and positive mentor to kind of help guide you through these things, since she's done everything.
Oh, yeah, right. Mm-hmm. She's
so
giving me an ego boost. I'm waiting. Keep going.
It's fine. I could keep going. I mean, do you want me?
Chanel's like,
she taught me makeup.
Oh,
she taught me, interview skills. Everything. So good stuff.
You knew what you were doing.
She's like,
no, I am not. I do not know everything, for the record. I am also learning as I'm going. I told Kat the other day, Kat was like, holy crap, like, you're really doing this, like, we're pulling this off. And, like, we just hired in post-production. I hired somebody in for, like, our audio mixer, which will do sound design. Clearly, like, the goal was keeping it authentic, right? Like, I will not hire anyone that's going to come in here and fake evidence or fake things in, and obviously I'll be supervising the full edit, which means if I don't like it, then it goes, and Kat's like, you're pulling it off, and she's like, how does it feel to like be an EP and like you're doing this? And I was like, oh girl, Krystal from like a year
It's a
ago thought she like, I was like, oh, I got this. And I've done it, definitely, but holy moly. Like, I saw other EPs doing it, obviously. That's where I learned from this. But I don't know if it's because they were more seasoned than I am, you know. Once you get a few more seasons under your belt, it's like coasting, like, okay, I got this. Obviously, the beginning is always the hardest because you're really like putting all, it's kind of like you're like an orchestra, right? Like, all of my crew is an orchestra, and I'm the, you know, the composer up front doing, okay, do this, you got, no, okay, do this, Kat, do this. And, you know, that can be hard because you have to get everybody on board, and like teamwork and like communication, and you do have to be positive because I can't have one person fall off the ship. I have to make sure everybody's on the ship, and if one person falls, everybody's got to pick that person up. And I definitely did not know what I was doing in the beginning, clearly. I thought I did. It's hard. You witness people that do the EP work, but you don't realize how hard it is till you're actually doing it. But I mean, to be honest, I love my job, and everybody, including Blake, Kat has even said it, is, Krystal, nobody wants your job. You know, Krystal's being the composer, she's the EP, nobody wants her job. And I'm like, thanks, guys. That's really, I appreciate it. I guess it's like job security. Like, is that your door opening by itself, Chanel? Like, what's going on? I feel like there's lots of chaos happening right now.
Yeah, what is happening?
So
she's laughing.
What?
My friend just got a new cat, and her other cat doesn't like the new cat, so they're clashing.
So there's like a debacle
and she just came
right
in, and
now?
there's a fight happening.
Oh
But
my
it's
God.
There's a cat fight. How did you remain so
think
calm? Like, I would have been like, holy crap.
I was waiting for her to be like, demons.
Well, I saw the door
a demon.
open by itself, and I was like, uh-oh, there's an issue with Chanel's house. You never know what's going on. You know what I mean? Just making sure.
We're unpredictable.
Oftentimes, Chanel will text us in group chat that, oh, I'm at home by myself, and a door just opened by itself. But it's okay, and we're just like...
Like, are you sure? Do you need us to come and take care of it?
Fine.
Like, what's going on?
Are you okay? Okay. Or she'll be like, it's probably my grandma. Everything's fine. And we're like, okay, Chanel.
Okay.
Okay. Stay safe. Of course,
That was
that
funny.
whole thing with your face earlier, Kat. Woo!
Yeah, I'm gonna have to sage. It's like extremely cold in here.
Oh my God. Amen.
So, yep.
Why? Why when
Right.
you're streaming? Like, and it happens when you're on Instagram, you stream,
It
like, sometimes.
literally, anytime I stream, audio gets cut out when I'm talking about paranormal experiences. I all of a sudden lose a network feed. It's horrible and annoying. I mean, it's great, but you know, we save the
Well, not
communication
really.
for
Wait
an
a second.
investigation. But
It's great. It's just not when I'm like, you know, trying to
it's
sleep
great.
at
But
night.
can we wait until I'm done?
Can you just give me a minute? Chanel,
I
are
feel
you
like
okay?
that's-
There's just chaos.
Are you okay,
happening.
Chanel? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
The cat is still fighting here. Okay. So yeah, I'm in post-production mode at the moment. I've been editing and I'm pooped, and I wish
You're doing it though.
Yeah.
You're rocking it.
I am. Yeah, no, it's just there's a lot of pressure. You know, like here's the pressure is that I've been doing YouTube for years, and I've been a really good critic of other people, right? And so I know that whatever product I put out there is also going to be, you know, under constructive criticism, right? And so I just have to make sure that if I can talk the talk, I can walk the walk. You know what I'm saying? And I will say, though, that it's been really great. But it's still, there's a lot of pressure. And that pressure, I feel like anybody gets like that, though, right? Where, like, you overthink. And when you overthink, you go down, like, a really dark hole. And are you laughing, Chanel? Chanel's like, she's the pro at overthinking, right? Sometimes she's like, I'm so stressed, and then we're like, why? And then she's like, never mind, I overthought about it. Everything's fine now. Everything's fine. So yeah,
Oh my gosh.
So I've been doing that with post-production. So here we go. I don't know. That's that. Next week, what's our topic next week? Do you know?
Good question. I haven't looked yet. Are you gonna look? All right.
I think I have it somewhere.
Something good.
Oh, I don't. Wait, what is next week?
I don't know next week.
You'll have to find out.
It's a surprise.
Stay tuned on Monday.
Which is social media. We have to do social. I know we still should do a catch-up chat regarding out-of-body experiences. I feel like we still need to do that because
I have so many things to chat about that.
Yeah, I don't. I think
that'd be great.
Was that what it was? What was the topic again?
It was about astral projection.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to do that.
I think that'd be an awesome chat.
Yeah, I also said last night we're going to have more behind-the-scenes stuff on Patreon, but I'm also going to move a couple videos a week to Twitch only. Like Mondays and Wednesdays, I think I'm going to... Because right now, when we're streaming on Saturdays, we stream on Twitch and we stream on YouTube Live. I'm also going to be incorporating Facebook like next month. We're just trying to reach as many audience members as possible. We've also had to build YouTube back up again because I took a break by myself, obviously, for like a year. So it took a minute I still don't think, unfortunately, people are getting notifications that we're on YouTube because one, we're only getting like 1,000 views a week, which is fine. It's building, but before it would be like, bam, 3,000 to 5,000 views, that night or whatever. Because we have a lot of subscribers, but it's like, I think they're not getting notifications. We're still building subscribers. I don't know. It's probably a YouTube issue still. Unfortunately, paranormal is one of those topics where they say that it's not scientifically defined, so they kind of put you on the back burner to be muted, which sucks because it's still a fun topic to talk about. You know what I mean? But Twitch, I'm going to go there Mondays and Wednesdays, I think. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I might do, like, get ready with me videos. Kat was like, oh, I will do that too. Yeah, maybe Chanel will want to come on once in a while.
You can watch me struggle with eyelashes. You can enjoy that.
Maybe sometimes we'll do, actually, a lot of my Patreon subs, they're wanting me, I found out I can stream live on Patreon as well. We found out a lot of different things we can do on Patreon, right, Kat? That we didn't even realize we could do. So we're going to be stepping up our Patreon content massively, but I found out when I stream live on Patreon, I might do some live reviews from like other shows that people have wanted, but I'm only going to do it for my Patreon subs because they've been really, really faithful, and I really appreciate them so much because they've been there. They also interact with us constantly with like giving us ideas for content and just chatting with us, so I appreciate my Patreon subs big time. And that's it, right? I think we're good.
Yeah, that's it.
Any other final thoughts other than Chanel is chasing 2 cats and she's moving so fast she looks like she's having seizures.
Oh my gosh, too funny. No, he's one sick mofo.
Ted Bundy.
It does not make me feel good talking about him.
I know. Here's a one last question that I feel like is good. Let's all get like our own ideas on it before Chanel like passes out over there.
Okay.
Do you think someone that's that evil, obviously committed such heinous crimes, in my opinion, that person would be afraid to cross over because clearly they don't want to meet their maker, right?
Yep.
Do you think that he stays earthbound then, or potentially stays earthbound and doesn't want to cross over? Do you think he haunts a certain location, and if so, where? What's your opinion behind that?
Wow, that's a really good question. I would think he would stay earthbound. I do think he would stay earthbound.
Because he...
Well, yeah, because who wants to meet whoever's up there, with all the crimes that you did wrong on? So he's going to wimp out and stay earthbound and maybe try to terrorize people here.
Right, which also matches his persona of killing people in their sleep or from behind, right? Like kind of the chicken way almost to do it.
Maybe even like a dream state. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Shanae?
Yeah, I think he could definitely potentially be earthbound. With that much negative energy, you probably would have a hard time crossing over completely to wherever.
Oh, for some reason, when Chanel was talking, I remembered this. One thing that we all were shocked to find out with that docuseries was he has a daughter.
Yes. Oh, that's right.
He has a daughter. He had married this woman while he was in jail. This woman was basically extremely on his side. He was like denying that all of the allegations. She believed him. They would pay the guards off for them to have sex in his stall, and she became pregnant while he was incarcerated. They ended up divorcing before he was executed, but his daughter since has basically gone into hiding. No one's ever really heard from her after this happened. Like, the mom and the daughter basically disappeared. From what I can tell, she would be around my age, obviously. She was born, like, in the 80s, give or take, 3 years older or younger from me, around there. But so she'd be in her 30s, so she's kind of disappeared. I did do a little light nosy research, and I guess you could say Facebook stalking, to see if I could find her and her mother. And I do believe I found them. And I think that they are either in Vermont or Virginia, speaking of that, Kat. So I think they're near you.
Wow.
But I can't imagine.
Have to dig on that.
Kat's like, I'm going to be stalking. Give me a second. Okay?
Yep. I'm going to be Googling that.
I think she changed her last name. I do think I found them. I kind of matched the picture of what the mom looked like during the trial in the 80s. But yeah, I think I found them. She's changed. She's obviously gotten a little older, and she's changed her the way she looks and appears. But I mean, I feel bad for her. Can you imagine, like, my mom slept with my dad while he was in prison on death row and got pregnant with me? Like, that's a really bad story to share. So I can see why she's in hiding, of, like, And I mean, on the mom's side, honestly, she's probably innocent too. She was being coerced once again by Ted Bundy, who was like the ultimate manipulator. So nobody can really blame her. She was just being heavily influenced and manipulated. It's really sad. So, anyway, whew, that's a rough story, man. And it just shows everybody's got something in their closet, demon-wise, or skeletons. In Chanel's case, she has 2 cats that are fighting.
2 cats fighting?
Gosh.
Gosh.
All right. So make sure you guys are subscribed to our page. Make sure you give our video a like. Leave us good comments below. We love to get feedback from you guys. Please follow us on Patreon, all of our social media. Make sure you check out last night's episode that I uploaded. It's just a short little vlog from me, because we're going to be doing a giveaway. That giveaway will end Sunday at midnight, I think is what Blake put up. You just have to like the video and comment below, and that's it. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We do check that. Any final thoughts or words?
Great chat.
It was.
This was a good chat.
Yeah.
Good chat.
I love different topics. I feel like this is a different topic. And, like...
Me too. I like when we're all together, too.
Yeah, everybody likes it.
Nice.
If you haven't seen their videos, oh my god, go check them out. It's like a minute video, and they're hilarious. And
we're pretty funny, guys.
Well, Kat is like in her zone of singing. She's just like, I feel like that song is perfect too. Like, it starts out with "It's my life," and it's just showing your life. It's my life.
It's true. Wow, that's really good.
It's true.
I like that.
It's very like very documentarian-ish of Blake to edit for you. I know.
Aw,
Chanel
Balake.
falling is just, I feel like it says everything. It just... She's like silent, serious.
Yeah, she is silent.
Chanel,
what?
You have to admit... You have to admit, Chanel, you're not as serious like you seem all the time. Like, she's actually just like a big bundle of joy. And she's very silly. The only thing I don't appreciate with Chanel is, she almost let us get eaten by a coyote pack. Okay, it's the only thing I don't appreciate. Oh my
god! Couldn't close the door.
Wait, what's going on? Wait, what should I do? Chanel, we're about to die. That's what's about to happen.
We're gonna die.
Is there any did I miss questions or anything? Are we good? Do you think?
I think we're good on that note.
Okay, we're good on that note.
Yeah, I think we're good on that note.
Yeah, Kat, you sound so sassy. Yeah. All right, East Coasters, have a good night, East Coasters.
Yes.
I'm West Coast. It's only 7:40 here. I have I'm gonna just go out and party all night. Yeah, right. I'm actually gonna go edit and work for the rest of the weekend. I have no life. I'm not.
That's her life.
I'm actually not cool. Just so you guys know, I'm not a cool person. I work too much, and
she's actually cool.
Oh, that's right.
She's
Chanel.
very cool.
I can't help it, you know? I just keep going. Come
We
on, I
know.
want some more compliments. Just keep it going. Come on, guys.
Okay. Okay.
Jesus. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We had so much fun as always. And what we always say is we will catch you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Chanel, go take care of those damn cats.
I'm going.